Yo, what is the deal, YouTube?
Pleading for help, finding a woman who disappeared after she took a cross-country trip with her boyfriend.
2 people went on a trip, 1 person returned.
Still no sign of Gabby Petito, the 22-year-old woman from Long Island.
When his mother didn't text me back the day I was trying to report her missing, I knew that something was wrong.
Now police have named him a person of interest.
Why? Why are you silent?
What does it take to get a more in-depth look into the week's top local news stories?
So from the video that I watched earlier, the news clip about Gabby, and just a little bit of information I got right now, I think they're from Florida, and they took a cross-country trip to Wyoming, I believe. And it was just her and her boyfriend, and only the boyfriend returned. Seems a little sketchy. I'm not gonna, jump the fence and, just be so much judgmental right now. But that kind of seems what is headed to.
Hello, welcome to the debrief.
Hello.
I'm Paisley Chang. The search for Gabby Petito is spanning several states and jurisdictions, which is why we find ourselves here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where Gabby Petito's family has come to search for her themselves.
That's dangerous.
This is very important to the family. That's why we're doing the podcast. They're trying to drum up interest and to keep Gabby's disappearance in the news so that they can try to get as many people to help find her as possible. And so I encourage you to listen to this podcast and to share it with as many people as you can. Let's start with what we know. 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who's from Blue Point, Long Island, moved to Florida in 2019 to live with her then boyfriend, now fiance, Brian Laundrie. Her family says that on July 2nd, the two embarked on a cross-country journey. They packed Gabby's white Ford van and headed west, hitting popular national parks along the way while documenting the entire experience on YouTube and Instagram. On video, their cross-country trip looked beautiful. Their relationship loving and affectionate. They were supposed to end up in Portland, Oregon in October. But now Brian Laundrie is back in Florida with Gabby's van, and Gabby is nowhere to be found. Her family is clearly distraught, who came all the way from Blue Point, Long Island to here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming to help with the search himself. Jim, you've been on the ground since yesterday. What has it been like?
It's been pretty crazy here. Just trying to touch base with law enforcement, let them know we're here, that we're here for whatever they need to assist them in the investigation. We're committed to finding Gabby and doing whatever it takes to help them.
And tell me what you're doing here to help people find Gabby. Who have you been talking to?
We've just been out here basically handing out some flyers for the most part. We don't have any people that we're with that are out in the woods. We're not out in the woods. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to support law enforcement with whatever they need.
And you want to also just jog people's memories, right? Like if you happen to see someone or if someone sees the poster, maybe they'll say something.
Yes. Yesterday when we were handing out some of the flyers, we were putting up in some of the businesses. We walked into one business in particular, and as soon as I walked in, the lady recognized my face. And I had the poster in my hand, and she just started to tear up. It was really touching. So they're very aware of it out here. This is a very transient area, which we're learning, and that's one of the other reasons why we're out here. A lot of people coming in and out, so we're just asking that anybody who's been to this area, has visited, taking pictures, videos, whatever it may be, to go back and look at those and take a look to see if there's anything that may be in there that could help us and help the police do what they have to do to find Gabby.
We know the one person who might know where Gabby is, right?
Yes.
We know there's one person who knows where she is, but they can't get him to talk. Is that ridiculous to you?
It's absolutely absurd. I fully understand a person's constitutional rights, the right to not speak in a situation like this, but everything you see on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be.
Guys, apparently it seems like, the father feels some type of way, which I would too, man. It is kind of a little bit suspicious that you're the boyfriend and, your girlfriend comes up missing and you really don't have too much to say. And saying that you don't, I don't know if Brian said this or not about the constitutional rights, but if that is to be an excuse, that is not cool. You feel me? But man, praise for this family again. I have 4 daughters myself, and I could just imagine just going through this type of tragic event. And then to have, the boyfriend out there somewhere that's not really speaking up too much. And apparently he's not in contact with her father because, the things that he's saying right now. Which I completely understand his frustration. You feel me? 100 on that.
Everything seemed to be happy. You were on a cross-country trip with her, and suddenly you're silent. Why? Why are you silent?
Yeah, that's not cool.
Whatever may or may not have happened,
not cool.
You need to speak up. This is about Gabby and finding her, bringing her home to us, so we know she's safe. It's unfathomable why.
This is very confusing,
why
you guys, because you
she's
see
not
the
speaking.
YouTube videos, and it makes you think, like, what could have possibly went wrong? What went wrong? To where they seem so happy in all these videos, and then tragedy strikes.
The wife's last message that she received from Gabby said, "Service poor in Yosemite." That made no sense to you because she wasn't supposed to be there, right?
The timeline now that we know that the van and he were back in Florida on September 1st, and looking at the time frame from the last text messages, it's really calling into question who sent them, where they came from. And we don't know. And it's upsetting.
The video, I'm sure you saw it, right?
Yes, we had a chance to review it.
What did you think when you saw it? What were your initial thoughts?
It was very upsetting to see them, a little bit of a disagreement, seeing her so upset.
Since you had no
It was
hesitations
upsetting.
about her going on this trip at all.
No, none at all. They took a trip within the last year and a half, and they enjoyed it. They loved it. They had done a lot of other trips in the meantime.
They look like a happy
they had
couple.
fun, and they were really looking forward to it. When they were at our house before they left on July 2nd, they were so excited. They were getting the van ready, and they couldn't wait to go.
And to see them, fighting and her so distressed, and actually the cops reacting the way they did, what do you hope? What do you wish those cops would have done?
I can't comment too much on or speculate on what I wish they would have done. What was done is done. They're traveling together,
So
a small
what
band
happened?
together. So, I'm sure there's going to be moments when you get a little frustrated or whatever it may be. But they did what they did, and it's.
I don't know. Maybe they'll show what happened. I'm
it.
lost right now.
You're
Police
visiting random
involved.
campsites. You're talking to random strangers because you don't know where she is, but Brian does. What do you want Brian to do?
Just want Brian to speak up and tell us where she is. Where was the last place you were with her? That way we can bring her home. It's what has to be done. It's the right thing to do.
Lots of questions here, particularly why Brian Laundrie hasn't spoken to police yet. He was Gabby's travel companion and her fiance. To find out more about the latest on the investigation, we spoke with Josh Taylor of the Northport, Florida Police. Here's what he told us. Josh, what is the latest in this case?
Sure. So I think some of the latest is that we have a new FBI tip line that we're trying to get out there for anybody who may have seen Gabby or Brian and their vast travels, certainly in the last 3 weeks. And that number is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Another detail is that we are now the lead investigating agency in this, working alongside the FBI and still working alongside the Suffolk County Police Department. Also new is the fact that we've now identified Brian as a person of interest in this case, and the fact we have revealed that we believe he was back here in Northport roughly 10 days before her family reported her missing.
What new information leads you to call him a person of interest now?
Well, we're now the lead agency, so we can call him what we need to. We are certainly interested in speaking with him, which has been a challenge. To define him as a person of interest is something people have just been asking for, so we've answered that.
So you haven't been able to interview him even once since you have reports that Gabby was missing?
That's correct. On Saturday, September 11th, we visited his parents' residence where both he and Gabby lived. We were basically met by the family with a piece of paper with how to contact their attorney. And we did find her vehicle, which we believe he drove here to Northport, which we took.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're going to be looking for with the van?
Wow.
We've had the latest and greatest in FBI technology and our own skill set going through that. We went through that yesterday. We certainly did a cursory look on that vehicle Initially, there was nothing suspicious on the outside, but sometimes you only get one shot at these things. So we made sure we had all of the experts from the FBI there to use their skill set. They certainly do it a lot. So I think that we're hopeful that there'll be some details that come out, and that it's going to take a little bit of time. Unfortunately, I think people want an answer right now.
I'm still very confused. It just looked like, something great that went bad. But as far as what happened with the law enforcement, I don't know. They haven't spoke up on that yet. And I don't know too much information, so I don't know if it was something else that happened. But sad story, man. Sad story. Anytime somebody come up missing is a sad story. Especially when it ends up like this. And just imagine, I just think about try to put myself in the father's position and the parents and the family and stuff. Just to have their child out there and have no idea. Hey, but Brian, though, man, need to reach out, man. Talk to these folks. Talk to law enforcement. It's not looking good, man. That's like kind of like a guilt trip right there, man. Honestly, because just say, this was a trip and then something happened and you're not involved. The world is looking for your pain, looking for answers, see your emotions. Should be very emotional, distraught, and hurt. Should be no problem with you speaking up. Just my opinion, you guys, all right?
May take some time.
Everybody's asking, where's Gabby? And it seems to me that the one person who would know where she is isn't talking.
Yeah.
What do you think of that in terms of, a police investigation?
Well, it's not helpful. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we're in a position where we're holding out hope that Gabby's alive. Maybe she's lost in the woods somewhere. Time is of the essence in getting facts and getting details in this case. Certainly, the last known person to potentially have been with her, or we can rule that out, or whatever the case may be. We need those details. To simply say nothing and just basically put out a statement yesterday that they'll remain in the background is hurting this investigation for someone that he has said is the love of his life.
And that seems odd to us. I mean, from a police perspective, what does that
when you say us,
this investigation is happening on two fronts. Brian is in Florida. You're trying to get information from him. At what point can you, bring him in for questioning? Have you done that already, or tried?
Certainly, we've made an attempt that Saturday. People have, with every single person we come in contact with or potentially arrest is, they have the right to remain silent. It's the Fifth Amendment in this country. Brian, if he chooses to, could potentially never talk about this. But as someone who is claiming to be innocent, or we would assume is claiming to be innocent,
you should want to talk.
That he share his details.
This is an important point. We now know Brian Laundrie drove back to Florida on September 1st with Gabby's van. But Gabby's family does not report her missing until September 11th because they had gone too many days without speaking to her. When was the last time Gabby's mom spoke to her? The family says
right
August
there.
25th.
So this man drove all the way back in her vehicle, and the family didn't know until 10 days later. What you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. But that is definitely a big red flag. And then you can't even tell law enforcement when the last time you seen her. So all these, she could be in between Florida and Wyoming, and you're not saying nothing.
And Gabby said they were on their way through Grand Teton and was traveling to Yellowstone. A few days later, she received some text messages from Gabby's phone number, but she wasn't convinced they were from her. We now know it's because the text said very briefly, "No service in Yosemite," which was another national park more than 800 miles away from Yellowstone, which is where she was headed. By September 11th, she filed a missing persons report with Suffolk County Police, where she lives. And to help us unravel this complicated case, we turn to a seasoned criminal investigator. Bianca Villa was the former deputy chief of homicide in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. How is Brian Laundrie behaving in this case?
You have to look at this in two ways. First of all, he's behaving the way any attorney representing him would tell him to behave. All right? Don't say anything, just be quiet. The law provides to him in terms of the presumption of innocence and not saying anything that's going to incriminate himself.
Why would he jump and get straight to a lawyer? I mean, the legal system is crazy. I don't quite understand it at times. I definitely don't understand this situation, bro. You know, if my girlfriend died, something happened, something with it, I'm not involved. I'm gonna talk to people and let them know I'm innocent off top, and nobody's gonna tell me not to do that. I'm not gonna, you know, be looked at as a murderer or, you know, someone that harmed somebody and I really didn't do it, but they feel like that because I'm not speaking up. And usually, I feel like this too. If your attorney tells you to be quiet or something, then it's most likely all bad. You know, they probably feel you did something too, and they're just trying to protect you because, you know, they're paying, you know, that's their job. But my opinion and what I would do, I would not be quiet. You know, now if the police really start pressing an issue and I'm like, you know, they think that I'm a suspect and think that I did something, and, you know, now the lawyer is saying, all right, well, you know, it's getting real. This is what you didn't, you know, that's a different story. But straight from the jump, you know, that's just like a sign of guilt. You know, attorneying up. Why are you attorneying up if you didn't really do nothing from the jump? I don't know.
Cases for years. You know, when a person refuses to talk to you, it speaks volumes in terms of where you should be looking when you're investigating these cases. This case could easily be solved if you offered information, but it's not an easy case to work on. It's not an easy case to solve. First of all, it would be wonderful to locate this young woman and find her healthy and safe someplace. But at this point in time, they're looking in other directions. So essentially what they're going to have to do is focus on him and then focus on any information they can glean from many, many, many different sources on his whereabouts from the last time the family spoke to her up to the point when he arrived back in Florida.
Their family members are out there in Wyoming right now. They're joining the search for her. They're trying to look for her. But at the same time, Northport police in Florida are saying Brian Laundrie was driving in a van with her cross country, and he hasn't shared any information about where she might be, about how they might direct their search.
She may not be in Wyoming. Cold. It's a national park. She could be anywhere along the way from Wyoming to back in Florida, which is why they're going to have to use resources which are readily available to them in order to track the path of
and that is not love. Your girlfriend is out here missing, only 22 years old, could be anywhere within these states, and you don't want to help law enforcement. And I'm still not saying you did anything, bro, but I just not respecting it right now. You know, man to man. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel like that. Police feel like that. The father feel like that. I'm pretty sure the world feels like that. But I just feel like that as a man. That's not cool.
Wyoming till the time it arrived back.
And one thing for sure, that's definitely not love. Then again, I may be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it. How could I be wrong? Your girlfriend is missing. Now you're missing. Unless somebody's after you guys. Now, that could be very possible. Never know. Who knows? So, I guess they could get a little benefit of the doubt on that. Not to just jump on one side of the fence so quick, you know what I mean? Because, you know, that's real. That could be possible. They could be stalked by people. This could have been planned. Now, who? No telling.
In Florida. And that could be any number of things that they could do. They could track cell phone data. They could track license plate readers every time the car went through a toll booth. They can track fueling depots where he may have stopped to fuel up the car. There's so many cameras that are out there these days that can spot a vehicle, and the technology that law enforcement has
able to
in
trace,
order
wherever
to
this
track
man and
these
this
vehicles.
woman went, or whatever this man did, if he did do something, or at least figure out, what states to go through and cities and stuff and things like that, which should lead up to some type of good information. And then they'll probably be able to tell if this man was lying or not whenever his story comes out, if he does talk. But I feel if he don't talk, then you're guilty, man, of something, or something or something. Why not talk? What seems to go on now with a lot of these cases, these people is not talking, which is just weird, man. That's that Chazire and Jackie be lying type stuff.
Yesterday, the Laundrie family released a statement, and I think it was striking on especially because of how cold it sort of sounded, right? They said, on behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Miss Petito is successful and that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. From that perspective, I mean, Brian was engaged to her, right? As we were led to believe from the Instagram post and from what the family is saying. He's calling her Miss Petito now. What's going on there?
Well, that's lawyer speak. They didn't prepare that statement. Whoever's representing the family in this matter drafted that and released it to the public. That's not a statement that anyone would issue involving the fiance of a loved one. This is clearly, the lawyers are now blocking any intervention from law enforcement into this family.
And I mean, law enforcement seem to be pretty frustrated with the fact that they can't talk to Brian Laundrie, or they haven't been able to talk to him and gotten a really good idea as to what his last steps were and where she might be.
But it's only one avenue. Speaking to a suspect or someone, a person of interest, as they're calling him at this point, that's only one avenue. There are so many other avenues, and I'm sure they are pursuing in order to locate her. You have the FBI involved. You have the Suffolk County Police Department involved. You have the law enforcement in Wyoming involved. You have a wealth of resources that are going to be looking at this investigation. The fact that he won't speak just tells you that you're looking at the right person and that he's the person that you should be tracking. It's not as if you have to wonder who the potential suspect is or who the potential target is of this investigation. So now, go talk to his friends. See who he interacted with when he came back to town. Start talking to them. Believe me, there is a wealth of work that could be done on this case that will provide important leads to investigators.
So if you were leading the search for Gabby Petito, what would you be doing right now?
I would be, as a prosecutor, making sure that all the agencies
After the
involved in this
boyfriend.
investigation were tracking down every possible way to determine where he has been from the time he came back to Florida to the time he was last seen with her, a visual sighting and interaction with her, and using the resources, whether they be cell phone records, whether they be license plate readers, whether they be cameras on throughways and freeways, whether they be cameras in gas stations, any type of technology that is out there that has the ability to track.
Just to go back to the boys' case, man, the FBI could get whatever they want if they really want to. Facts. You see all that stuff that he just named, from freeway cameras to all types of stuff.
Okay, I would be sending law enforcement teams to different locations where they may have been last seen to interview some witnesses there. I wouldn't be so focused on speaking to him. Okay, you know who your target is. Okay, so go out now and find information relating to that target that's going to bring you ultimately to a point where hopefully you'll be able to find this young woman.
Makes sense.
One of the reasons why the family wants to put this out there so much in the media is because they want to encourage people to come forward. Any little thing they might have seen could be significant.
Yes.
Can you talk about how, maybe even a gas station that he stopped along the way?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You may stop in a gas station. You may get interview someone in a gas station and say, yeah, he stopped here, got gas. And you know what? I saw him get out of the car. And if they haven't already found those people and haven't already started talking to
It's
those
all about
people,
hope, spreading
they
awareness,
eventually will
y'all.
come
For
forward
real.
and give you that information. Now, Buddy, this is not to say that this case will be solved overnight, okay? Because generally speaking, these are not. This investigation could take quite some time. Putting together the pieces of this kind of a puzzle can be time consuming.
Well, and while the search for Gabby continues, police say Brian Laundrie continues to be silent. His family attorney released a statement recently saying he is staying silent based on legal counsel. This has the police chief of Northport, who is the lead agency, pleading with him on Twitter to speak with detectives and share what information he has about where he last saw Gabby. Gabby's family is also pressuring Brian.
This one more time. I do not understand why Brian would want an attorney if he did not do nothing. What could incriminate you from coming out and saying, hey, I last seen her here. This is where we was at. We was at the lake. I went to the van, came back, and she was gone in this state or this city. It should be exact details. Be able to tell everything that happened leading up to Gabby's disappearance. And I'm not trying to hear all that innocent until proven guilty. If we was innocent until proven guilty, we would not get incarcerated while we are fighting these crimes. Or, most people fight these crimes behind bars and get their freedom snatched, and they're still innocent and not even proven guilty yet. Toss that lame ass game out the window. You know what I mean? Because I could already see where people is headed on trying to protect this man. And me watching this whole video and just seeing the vibe from the law enforcement, from the father himself and the family. You got to feel the vibes, y'all, 100. And it is apparently there. Not looking good for Brian, though, man. I don't know why you not talking that legal stuff. That ain't gonna fly, man, in the real man's world. In reality, that's not cool, bro. You scared to say, hey, I didn't do nothing and just give up information to help bring this girl. You did something, bro.
Again, I encourage you to share this podcast and to keep talking about Gabby Petito to help generate leads for the family. If you do know anything about this story, you're urged to call the FBI. You can reach them at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
That's about it, you guys. So we just helping spread awareness. You guys know who to call. Just imagine if this was your family, your daughter. If you know something, say something, man. Look, karma is a bitch, and sometimes karma could come by you knowing something about a certain situation and not speaking up to help bring justice, because it's not right. It's actually wrong. Sometimes you can help save a life, and the fact that you didn't speak up, you didn't. And that's just my belief, to come back around in some type of way, man, to where you're going to need that favor in life that you could have gave for this exact situation. Peace and blessings, Ray Sean 100. Where the boys, where is Summer Wells.